With that, let's move today into today's discussion, that is floor price. Right? Since we understood market price, price ceiling, it will be very much easy for you to understand the floor price, because it is the opposite of the price ceiling. Floor price that we set for the benefit of the producers. Right? The objective of setting a floor price is to benefit the producers, because government feel that we need to encourage the producers. Right? So maybe we are worrying about the self-sufficiency, or maybe food security, or just we want to develop that sector. Like in Sri Lanka, we had the floor price for paddy. Right? So the private sector price was somewhere around 35-40 rupees. So government sector floor price 50. And now government put 100, which is a different case. But before pandemic, rice price was like, paddy price was like 35 per 1 kg in the market. But government price was 50 rupees per 1 kg. Right? So therefore, the objective of setting a floor price is for the benefit of the producers. And you hear the word minimum price schemes. Right? Government set a minimum price for the benefit of the producer. This is why it is called floor price. Minimum price means you cannot go below that, because it is the floor. We know, right? You know what do we mean by a floor. So we cannot go underneath the floor. That is the maximum boundary that we can reach there. If you want to go more than that, then what will happen? You have to go down by damaging the floor. So if you damage the floor, of course, you will be punished. In the same way, when government set a minimum price, it is like a floor. This is why it is called floor price. Right? We cannot go below that, because that is the government regulated price. By a government gazette, they have decided that the price should be at that level. Right? So this is why it is called a floor price. So again, we are using the same demand and supply curves to understand the effect of floor price and effective floor price. So here, as we discussed previously, the equilibrium price, market equilibrium price is 60. Given equilibrium price 60, equilibrium quantity is 2000. So no issues. We are having a very good equilibrium here. Everyone is happy, right? Consumer surplus and producer surplus is intact. So therefore, we are not worrying about the excess demand or excess supply or any other things in the market. So we are in the equilibrium. Then government thinks that we need to help the producer. The case like what I said, paddy market. Government wants to encourage the paddy farmers, because we have an objective of self-sufficiency in paddy production. So what government does? Government set a price like this, a regulated price which is above the equilibrium price. Of course, we have to do that above the equilibrium price. It is because our objective is to help the producer. And if we are going to help the producer, producer must have a price higher than the equilibrium price. So therefore, we set a price above the equilibrium price. So here you can see equilibrium price is 60, regulated price is 80. Government say this item should not be bought less than 80 rupees. It is like the case I just explained. In the paddy market, 1 kilo of paddy was 35 rupees without government intervention. That was the market equilibrium. So government decided we need to help the paddy farmer. So what government did, it increased the paddy price to 50 rupees per kg, right? Which is higher than the equilibrium price. The same way here, it is higher than the equilibrium price. When we have a price higher than the equilibrium price, what will happen? If you look at this graph, you can see at point A, that is the quantity demanded when we are setting a price like 80. And when price is 80, quantity demanded will be 1000. But when we set the price like 80, which is higher than the equilibrium price, at point B, it tells us the supply. Supply goes to 3000. Now what will happen in the market? If price is 80, demand 1000 and supply 3000. Now what should happen in the market? What is there in the market? Will everything be supplied in the market be purchased by the consumers? When we set something like this in the market, what will happen? Automatically there will be an excess supply in the market because supply is higher than the demand. If you look at this figure, you can see A to B area. What is happening to that? Because there will be 3000 units in the market, but only 1000 units are demanded. Because of that, this A to B or around 2000 units will be in excess in the market. This amount will not be solved. Those who are coming from paddy producing areas, you may have seen it that some 2-3 years ago, when there's a harvesting season, there are long queues of vehicles to sell paddy to the government buying agencies. Right? Maybe people are waiting for 2-3 days. If it is a rainy season, of course, everyone gets into trouble. Right? So you cannot wait in a long queue for like 2-3 days with paddy. So then what will happen? There is excess supply. This is why they are waiting in the queue. Otherwise, those paddy should be sold quickly. Like today. Today, there is no any excess because we have supply shortage. Production shortage and supply shortage is there. Therefore, we have a excess demand in the market. But those days, for paddy, we had excess supply. Like in this case, 2000 units of excess supply. So people were waiting in a long queue to sell it. Then what will happen? If there are many people, those who really want to sell this paddy, but they cannot sell them into government agencies because we have to wait like 3 days. Some people, they cannot wait like 3 days. And there are certain rules and regulations like the quality and the water level and so on. And you will be getting your money after 1 week or 2 weeks or like that. Those people, those who are not willing to take these conditions, then what they do? They get into the private sector and will say, okay, we don't want it at 80. Please give me 70. I'm going to give you my paddy. So there will be some supply for 70 rupees. At the same time, some other people, those who really want some urgent money, they will go and say, okay, we will give you at 60. We will give you at 50. If they are really in a hurry to wait, they will come here and the demanded amount is 1000. Therefore, this 1000 will be supplied with 40 rupees. Because there are producers. There are producers who can supply this amount with 40 rupees. So therefore, what will happen? Those producers will supply it at 40 rupees and get sold their goods and services in the market. So price may get down up to 40 rupees. In fact, that happened. And the very good example, when Yapalana government came into power, they increased the rubber price, crepe rubber price, like which was around 300 something, they put into 450 or something. Then what happened? Quickly, demand for rubber decreased. It got down to somewhere around 200. If there were no government interventions, price may have been somewhere around 300. But because of the government intervention, now it got down to 200. It is because of the scenario we just discussed here. So then what we need to do? Because as we discussed with the price ceiling, our objective is to get an effective floor price because we want to help the producer. If we are not getting it as an effective floor price, of course, no meaning, because as we just discussed, our objective was to set price like 80, it will end up with price 40. So therefore, if we want to make this price 80 as an effective floor price or minimum price, then government need to buy out this A to B amount. So if government buy out this A to B amount, of course, then no issue at all. In the market, we have an equilibrium where regulated price is 80 and everyone will sell their product at 80 rupees. So therefore, we say that whenever we are putting a floor price, there will be an excess supply. This excess supply should be bought by the government if we want to make it an effective price, floor price, or if we want to help the producer. So these two simply tells us if we allow market to work freely, market will work perfectly. Right? So when we are having the government intervention in the market, that will create more troubles than the help. This is what we experienced for the previous months, or maybe like the previous 5-6 months. So there were government interventions at different places. So government was intervening with the paddy market with the minimum price or floor price. So that created several problems. Our market went into something called oligopoly, which we will be maybe not discussing at all. So there are few dominated rice millers in the rice market now in Sri Lanka, which is called oligopoly. It is because of the government subsidy programs or the regulated price programs. And floor prices, the minimum prices, we had also with like rubber and even for milk. And the other one is the maximum price. Very recently we experienced. So government put the price ceiling for many things, like almost all the products in Sri Lanka had a minimum, maximum price, like sugar, then petrol and gas, rice, all these have control price, which is a price ceiling or maximum prices. Then there were certain problems, like we had a shortage. If you take a very recent example like petrol, people were waiting in a long queue 2-3 weeks back. This is because government regulated price was much lower than the market price. So there was an excess demand. People, those who are not having even a vehicle, they tend to buy petrol because market price is so less. People tend to consume much. But when government increased the price, now it's almost to closer to the equilibrium, because government said now they are not getting any losses because of petrol or diesel, right? So then we can say it is getting more closer to the equilibrium price. If it is so, of course, there will not be any queues in recent time. Of course, when you think that in the population point of view or general public point of view, it's not a good thing to do. Good thing to increase the price and give the burden to the public. But in economics, of course, whenever you are getting intervened, you will be having more trouble in the market. Like now, we have no diesel, right? Or sometimes we had no petrol because it was a hugely controlled price.